What's up with it? Salute, salute, salute. Welcome to Damu Kiwe Conversation, Hip Hop Police Docu Series, Day 11. I got Day 10. I'm gonna have to put 11 up there, edit that. But we're gonna get right into it. So CS2 back. WACK100 claims that he's not a Crip. He had nothing to do with the Main Street Crip investigation. Well, he's playing semantics because the Main Street Crips were alleged to be, they already had their own investigation going on, but they were alleged to have been outsourced to hold on. Yes, sir.
Okay, I just got the link right now. I'm coming in.
I bet. All right, so we can share this. That was Yael, the Keyway pop star. So when y'all get this, y'all see that he's even late for these. You know what I'm saying? He's not just late when we're live. He comes even late, fashionably late when we're not live, when we're just doing pre-recording.
Oh man, listen, you already know what it is, but look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Hold on. Oh, they can't show. I can't. I gotta set the food up, the drinks up.
Hey, listen, man, that's a good problem to have, man. Salute to them brothers that take care of responsibilities, that get up and go work, man. I don't know how you have shame in your game, especially those of us who used to break the law, do whatever we could to survive. But salute to all of those brothers with a job that go out and get it without compromise their integrity, looking for a handout from a rat piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But look, y'all, so WACK100 says that he's not a Crip. He don't know no Main Streets. He had nothing to do with the Main Street Crip investigation. Playing semantics because the Main Streets were allegedly outsourced, and we're going to get into that also by Mark Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal because of an attempted blackmail and extortion made by Robert Ross and Cash McElroy Jones. CS2 back. So let's play this right here. He said he had nothing to do with the Main Street Crips. He wasn't involved. I beg to differ. Let's listen.
Del Dog knew I was a nigga that was keeping Stutterbox right.
Oh, so you
and he started hating me from day one when he came up there for a death row meeting, and I wouldn't let him in with his tool, and I made him go put it up. He looked at everybody. He said, "Homie, this is what it is." He said, "Wack running point, my nigga, like it's what it is." I said, "Bro, put it up. You can get up out of here on Power Road." You gotta remember, he running set. So when I did him like that in front of his homies and Tony Muhammad, he hated me ever since. We ain't never had a kind word for each other. So I don't know what the fuck this bozo, or what you at Del Dog. Hey, the Main Streets is gonna be like, dog, what is you talking about? Them niggas never got along. The nigga that killed Del Dog, they all know I'm the nigga that hit him. Del Dog knew I was a nigga that was keeping Stutterbox right.
And the nigga
and he started hating me from day one when he came up there for a death row.
That don't sound like a nigga that's not involved to me. If Del Dog is having and Stutterbox is having issues in Main Street Crip business and politics, Paru from the Valley says he has nothing to do with that. I can understand that. That's not your business. But somehow you've inserted yourself so much so that you brag that the nigga that killed Del Dog, you hit him out. Even though that's harboring a fugitive. I wonder who that person was.
You acting like a weirdo, bro. Hold on.
So yeah, that doesn't sound like you're not involved right there to me. Cash McElroy, Cash App Jones, you know what I'm saying? Sound like you picked a side, nigga, and you got involved in something. And I'm quite sure if they did know that, they applied pressure, and you were still dealing with Mark Stevens, calling Mark Stevens, trying to get in contact with Del Dog. This was after the attempts on his life. gave them Stutterbox address as alleged. We're going to get into that. So let's get into this one real quick on this article. While he's gone, we could run this and get through this shit so that so this was a digital press article from the LA Times press reader, and this was June 16th, 2011. The former Laker and a business partner were questioned in a 2008 LA attack. LA Sheriff's Department, let's go ahead and blow this up a little bit, looked into allegations against Shaquille O'Neal in 2009. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in 2009 investigated allegations that Shaquille O'Neal was connected to a beating, robbery, and kidnapping by gang members of a man claiming to have a sex tape of the basketball star, according to records reviewed by the Times. So the sheriffs then allowed the Times to review these records. Detectives found phone records showing a flurry of calls between the alleged ringleader of the assault and O'Neal's business partner around the time of the February 2008 incident, a sheriff's investigative report said. So now they have the evidence and the proof from the wiretap of a flurry of calls between Del Dog and O'Neal's business partner, who was Mark Stevens. O'Neal and his business partner, Mark Stevens, denied any involvement in the attack when interviewed by sheriff investigators. Neither man has been charged in connection with the case. So now we read for you guys the paperwork that CS2 back claimed Duse M paid somebody and made up 14 pages, additional pages, because first I presented the 3-page wiretap, which was only pertaining to him being referred to as CS2 back. Then later, I exposed the 14 pages, which I read to you guys, and he said I paid somebody to make 14 more pages of what you call it. I mean, they had to know who the investigators were. They had to know that it was the sheriff's report, right? All of the details, dates, the fact that it was picked up on wiretaps, the wiretap date with that recorded phone call. But Duse M and them niggas made fake paperwork on CS2 back. Crazy. That added Cash Jones' name in the paperwork. The victim, Robert Ross, told authorities in early interviews that he believed O'Neal was behind the attack because of a business deal gone bad and because O'Neal believed he had a tape of the former Lakers center having sex with a woman other than his wife. Ain't that the exact language that we read in the paperwork?
Correct. Damukiwe conversations.
This week, Ross testified in Los Angeles County Superior Court during preliminary hearing for 7 members of the Main Street Crip gang accused of kidnapping him from West Hollywood and beating him while demanding the videotape. The gang members face charges of kidnapping, robbery, assault with a firearm, and criminal conspiracy. So Robert Ross, Stutterbox, testified at preliminary hearing. He didn't just go to the station and rat. He did that also, you know what I'm saying, at the behest of Darren Dupree. He took a step further and was bold enough to take the stand during preliminary hearing of these 7 Main Street Mafia Crips. I wonder how we was able to get all of those names to make up some fake paperwork, because all of those names who were charged sure were detailed in those 14 pages. Law enforcement officials Wednesday declined to say.
I don't need you to hold nothing.
Really? It seems like
mute up,
you all
y'all.
right?
Oh, I'm not.
You okay?
No, I'm not. I think you have a real.
All right, boom. So Law enforcement officials Wednesday declined to say what role, if any, O'Neal and Stevens had in the incident. But early in the investigation, it was clear that detectives suspected the pair might somehow have been involved. In a July 2009 letter asking for leniency in Ross's sentencing for unrelated federal drug and firearm charges. So Ross had a gun and drug charges in July 2009. I guess he was getting sentenced. A sheriff's captain wrote that Ross was cooperating with law enforcement as a victim and witness in a West Hollywood incident that may implicate a celebrity, an apparent reference to O'Neal. So, this nigga, Robert Ross, not only was an FBI informant, he got so much plug that the captain of the sheriffs wrote a letter asking for leniency in his sentencing for some pistols and some dope. These rats is really dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Really, really dangerous. So he was also a victim and a witness, not a confidential source. He went to court, which would mean if he was just a confidential source, he would have been a 270. He wouldn't have been a 137. Let's go. The motive for the crime was retaliation by a celebrity who believed Ross was having an affair with his wife. Captain David Smith of the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau wrote, according to a copy of the letter obtained by the LA Times. So the LA Times got the leniency letter that Captain David Smith of the Sheriff Homicide Bureau wrote. Nigga, he got pulled with the Homicide Bureau of the Sheriffs. Nigga, he must have been providing information about hot ones
for a long time.
Hey, bro, this nigga talking about, I heard the nigga Wack say the nigga told him, oh yeah, Duse M is scared to pass out backpacks and this and this and that. I guess because I told him I didn't want no problems with him. And he said Duse M is scared of him. Nigga, I ain't scared of no man on planet Earth. Now, what I was afraid of is that, nigga, I show up to where we supposed to meet up on some gangster shit, and you call the police the same way you did when you got on the phone with Del Dog, nigga. When you turn pussy again and want to bring the laws into it, nigga. Yeah. Once a bitch, always a bitch. All it takes is enough pressure, and you'll lift your little skirt up again and show your pussy, nigga. Captain David Smith of the Sheriff Homicide Bureau wrote, according to a copy letter obtained by the Times. So y'all don't have to believe me on these facts. Y'all could go contact the LA Times and get this. The celebrity enlisted the help of 7 Main Street Crip gang members with extensive criminal history to commit the kidnap, robbery, and assault. The ongoing investigation regarding the celebrity and his manager may also result in charges filed, Smith wrote at the time. So they might be charging Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens. On Wednesday, sheriff officials would not comment on how the investigation had progressed in the 2 years since Smith's letter or how their understanding of the motive behind the alleged kidnapping may have changed. Detective Paul Fournier, the lead investigator of the case. Who was the lead investigator into the Robert Ross getting kidnapped and robbed and beat up? Detective Paul Fournier.
Damn.
The lead investigator. Not Greg Caden, not Darren Dupree. Paul Fournier, his partner.
Nasty word.
Is Detective Michael Coet. You remember Coet, Yael? Remember
yeah.
we was doing a thing in Hollywood, a podcast before it was from Bond First, you know what I'm saying? And they had ended up taking it down, but before they take it down, we did our podcast. And there was that sheriff that and he said, they asked him, well, how do you feel about you know, the y'all investigation with the task force, you know what I'm saying, with Greg Caden's task force not being able to get convictions and this and this and that and arrest. And he said, well, it was a lot of bickering going back because Greg Caden, they put in all this work, the sheriffs put in all this work on this investigation. This was a big catch. You know what I'm saying? This is a famous superstar, Shaquille O'Neal. So the sheriffs wanted to have the highlights of being able to tie him into this because this is what they believe happened based on the evidence that was presented, right? Greg Caden and Darren Dupree, for some reason, undermined their investigation. And we'll get more into that too. Y'all make sure that y'all hold me accountable to that, because that's the most integral part of why the 7 Main Streets were released and the case was dismissed. So, but he said there was only one person who was arrested in regards to this investigation. You remember that?
Can I take a guess at who was arrested? Can I guess? Can I guess?
Take a guess.
I think we're gonna go with Cash McElroy Jones. Is that correct?
Ding, 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 ding.
On the first try.
On the first try. So so the lead detective of the case, Paul Fournier, his partner, Michael Coet, they're both sheriffs who were on the joint task force with Greg Caden. They were the lead investigators on this case. And he said Cash Jones was the only one arrested.
That's crazy, bro.
He would know. He would know. Me and my partner ran this investigation. But anyway, attorney Nicholas Tonsich, who represented both Mark Stevens and O'Neal during their interviews with sheriff investigators, correct. Respond to repeated requests for comment late Wednesday. So they're telling you that the sheriffs are the ones that interview Mark Stevens and O'Neal. That's the paperwork that I read y'all with their interview about this crime, alleged crime. O'Neal's management company also did not respond to requests for comment. Ross walked into the Los Angeles Police Department 77th Street Division in February 2008 with his face cut and bleeding and his clothes bloody, according to sheriff's January 2009 investigative report. He said armed Main Street Crip members whom he had grown up with and recognized kidnapped him in West Hollywood and ordered him to drive his Rolls Royce to the South LA house of Liddell Rawls, the gang's alleged shot caller. So now, not only did he incriminate and implicate his childhood friends in a crime, multiple felony crimes, he also tells these police sheriffs that Liddell Rawls is the shot caller. You know?
Oh wow, that's doing something else.
Oh yeah, this is box. This is just a little bit of box.
Damn.
But he hates being called a rat. Why do rats hate being called rats? It's their nature. But anyway, the gang members beat him up and took from him $15,000 in cash, a diamond necklace and earrings, and a Rolex watch, he told investigators. During the beating, Rouse, known as Del Dog, told Ross, Mark and Shaq know who the real boss is now, and demanded the videotape and $100,000, according to the report. Ross told investigators that, he implicates Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens. So make sure you add that to the list of 7 Main Street Crips. Ross told investigators that events leading to the kidnapping started with a business deal gone sour. Ross introduced rap star Ray J to O'Neal and Stevens' record label, expecting to receive a percentage of the profits, but was later cut out of the deal. Around the same time, that's cruddy, Mark Stevens. If that's what Ray J also said, that's cruddy if you did them like that, but that's y'all money situation. Maybe y'all had a better understanding that they're not giving up. I would like to know what you think about more about that, Mark Stevens. Tap in. Around the same time, O'Neal, who was having marital troubles, had his wife followed by a private investigator who took photos of her having lunch with Ross, according to the report. Damn, hey, y'all, you know Ross is, you know Robert Ross Jr. is, or the third is, right? Oh, he probably busy. Ross, upset over the deal, told Stevens and O'Neal through a friend that he had a surveillance tape of O'Neal having sex with a woman at Ross's home in July 2007. Ross told investigators that he was bluffing to get the money that he felt he was owed. The attack occurred 2 weeks later. So during the paperwork that we read, we understand that the friend that Robert Ross's friend were told Stevens and O'Neal through a friend that he had a surveillance tape of O'Neal having sex with a woman at Ross's home. So that friend is Cash McElroy Jones. We read that through the paperwork, and that's what Robert Ross said, putting the police on Cash Jones, implicating WACK100 in a blackmail conspiracy to blackmail and extort Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens for money. He was to get the money he felt he was owed. This whole conspiracy with Robert Ross and Cash Jones was planned and plotted to get the money that he felt he was owed from being cut out the Ray J deal, right? The attack occurred 2 weeks later. So after that happened, 2 weeks, they tell him, oh, TMZ will pay a lot of money for it. I got the tape. Yeah, I want them to hear Cash McElroy Jones, CS2 back, telling Shaq and Mark Stevens, I got the tape. Paul Root. Nigga, TMZ pay a lot of money for this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Ross and O'Neal and Rouse knew each other because he had introduced them. O'Neal funded a documentary for Rouse through his record label and mentioned Rouse and Ross by their gang monikers in one of his rap songs. Ross told investigators, oh, yeah, you know, he knows them. He mentioned them and said their name and my name in a rap song. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, he making sure he's a long tail rat. You know what I'm saying? O'Neal was interviewed by investigators in September 2008 at a locker room at USC's Gallon Center. Trojan, man. Remember the paperwork said at the Gallon Center, USC, that's in the sector. When he was told of Ross's allegations that O'Neal had ordered the kidnapping to retrieve the sex tape, O'Neal adamantly denied having been involved, according to the sheriff report. Respectfully, Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens have never been charged. The jurisdiction for such a crime is already expired, and he adamantly denied having been involved. Let's make sure we note that for the followers. You know what I'm saying? Even if there had been a sex tape, Shaq told investigators, he wouldn't have cared if it was made public because he and his wife were getting a divorce. He told Stevens to pass that message to Ross. The report states. He also said he didn't believe Stevens would have been involved in any kidnapping scheme, according to the report. Don't those 14 pages detail in the statement Shaq made, detail all of this? O'Neal said he had met several Main Street Crip gang members during toy donation events in South Los Angeles, but did not have a personal relationship with them. O'Neal told authorities he had severed ties with Ross about a year before the interview because of Ross's criminal troubles, believing that it would be bad for his image. Sounds like the exact same shit in that paperwork. Stevens, who was interviewed around the same time as O'Neal, told investigators he found out about Ross's assault 3 or 4 days after the fact from Ross's brother and another friend. Why are they not mentioning Cash's name in this thing? They keep saying another friend. Oh, we gonna go to that paperwork. We almost finished, but we gonna get to this another friend by going back to Mark Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal's statement before we move on. Because for some reason, Detective Fournier and Detective Coet did not want to mention Cash Jones' name. Shaq was in charge. Mark Stevens was in charge. Yet they said their name. But why wouldn't they mention the name that Robert Ross gave up? The name that Mark Stevens gave up. Let's go. He said he had a business level relationship with Rouse, helping him organize charity events. At the time of the attack on Ross, the gang members had already been under surveillance as part of an ongoing federal investigation into the Main Street Crip gang. So the feds already got their investigation going on when Cash Jones takes this message to Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens, and 2 weeks later, Stutterbox is kidnapped and all of that. The phones is already tapped, right? In one wiretap phone conversation 6 months after the attack, Rouse told Stevens that Ross had gone sour and that the police had contacted him, according to the report. Investigators also obtained phone records documenting a flurry of calls from Mark Stevens to Liddell Ross and from Ross to other gang members at or around the time of the kidnapping. The sheriff report states, 2 attorneys representing defendants in the case Wednesday questioned Ross's credibility. Pointing to his criminal record, attorney Vincent J. Oliver said the prosecution case rests solely on Ross's account. He said the fact that Ross was lying about having the sex tape cast more doubt on his testimony. Rouse attorney Ronald J. Higgins disputed that his client was the shot caller in the game. Del Dog didn't like that he was being labeled the shot caller and said he was a respected member of the community. Ross is expected to resume his testimony when the preliminary hearing continues in July. Well, in July, Greg Caden said he couldn't allow Detective Coet and Detective Fournier to get on the stand and expose based on Robert Ross's testimony because he had caught him in lies. But just because you caught him in one lie, you could lie in the court, and the judge will pass on a instruction to the juries that they know that you lying about that, but it doesn't mean that everything else you're saying is lie, like him being a rat. Well, there's gang members here. I don't want everybody to know I'm a rat. Look, you see he hate being called a rat today, right? I don't want everybody to know I'm a rat, so look, jurors, we want to give you an instruction. We're going to impeach him, or we want you to treat him as a hostile witness because we know that he doesn't want to be known as an informant. It would put his life in danger, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that everything else that he's saying isn't true. But this part, we know that he's lying. They can concede to that. That don't mean the case get dismissed. So when WACK100 is saying that that's how it goes, he's a bold-faced lie. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get rid of that LA Times article. You know, that was an old article out the LA Times, you know what I'm saying, which documented it. And it was pretty, it was very accurately consistent with the sheriff paperwork we previously read to you. On top of that, it I gotta go to the paperwork. Let me get the paperwork for y'all because all I need to get is where they were talking about Cash Jones delivered the thing. So we just got to go to Robert Ross's statement, and then we're gonna know that it was the friend was Cash Jones. But they didn't want that in the news. These police officers were very careful not to put out everybody that was involved and the evidence that they had that's very that's very suspicious, because they definitely put out these targets of the investigation. Wack always claiming he was a target, and I don't even know why, because you could be targeted right now and be the kingpin and end up snitching and getting and snitching on your plug. You know what I'm saying?
I got the work.
Yeah, target. No, I got the tape.
I got the tape. I had to say work because guess what? This paperwork is about him. So technically,
yeah. Nah, when you was busy, we had got to a part where they were saying the friend went to Shaq and Mark Stevens and told them that Stutterbox got a tape of him fucking
What? Who? Oh,
I'm listening, Deuce.
huh?
I'm listening.
That they had a tape of Shaq fucking a bitch that wasn't his wife.
Oh, when Stutterbox was trying to blackmail him into getting that money out of him.
Right. And his friend, they weren't talking to Stutterbox at the time. They had cut him off. So his friend, right? The newspaper article I read said his friend, but right here on page 5, it says Ross, who was still upset over the fact that he was owed money, had a friend named Cash Jones deliver a message to Mark Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal. Jones told them that Ross had a videotape. Hey, blood got the tape. You fucking a bitch inside of his house in July 2007. Damn. And TMZ will pay a lot of money for that tape, right?
Oh man, he's nasty for that, bro. He's nasty.
All right, and then right here it says, "This is what." So now Stutterbox then implicated WACK100.
Excuse me.
Tell me, do you find that suspicious, Yael?
Bro,
here in the paperwork, it says that Robert Ross had a friend named Cash Jones deliver a message to Mark and Shaq.
Right.
But the newspaper article from the LA Times, the sheriffs were running this content. Bro, that's something else. Pay attention how the crooked news media works with law enforcement to put out certain information and withhold back other information to control the narrative.
And help spin the narratives in the crooked person, police, or whatever media outlets favor, so the narrative can get pushed as a truth.
By the police.
That is disgusting, bro.
Super disgusting. But it's been like this since the Panthers. But I'm hoping that they're able to see this, but for some reason, Yael, on the newspaper article, it said he had a friend, but it wouldn't say Jones' name. Every time Wack, the newspaper wouldn't say his name. The sheriff didn't want his name out there. And then here it go again.
Dang. You know what? Remember what you said, Deuce.
Yeah.
Some people don't get their names exposed because of their position and what their monikers are. Remember, he said he never went by a certain moniker.
Yeah.
His moniker was CS2 137.
Right.
Yeah, that was his moniker.
So them sheriffs, Fournier and Detective Coet being the same one that said the only one they arrested was him. So right here it said, I need to talk to you. Stutterbox telling Mark Stevens. This is Mark Stevens saying he received a voicemail from Stutterbox stating, I need to talk to you, man. The big fella, he's slipping. He's making a lot of mistakes. Soon after he got that message, Mark received a call from Cash Jones. Jones told him that Ross had a videotape of Shaquille O'Neal having sex with a woman, not his wife, at Ross's home, and that Ross could take the tape to TMZ and get a lot of money. Now that's where I need you to say, I got the tape. Yeah.
Well, in the words of CS2 back, because you know how he acts. Hey,
right.
Hey, listen. I know some niggas that'll pay a pretty penny to see that video. Guess what? I got the tape.
I got the tape. Remember the De La Hoya Extortion plot.
Wow, wait a minute. He said he had the tape on him too.
He said he got 800. I'm gonna play that when we go live. Remind me. Let me put that
I got
down
you
here
in the notes. Put that in the notes, please.
Yeah, De La Hoya. So the feds and this task force,
right?
Hoya extortion. Okay, blackmail extortion. Okay. Oh, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kim K and Ye extortion. Oh yeah, so this is his MO. WACK100's whole get down is to extort and blackmail these people in the industry, and I guess the joint task force has no problem with him doing and getting away with these crimes. But we finna get into this content real quick as they talk about it. Hey, CS2 back, you said the paperwork was fake. Well, we gonna show you that. We already showed you that paperwork, the 14 pages, was legitimate, right? And now we're going to get to the wiretap that we already have broke down. And we're going to show you that. But let's go. I think this is it. Let me see. I hope this is it, man. Oh, yeah. He said, WACK100 speaks on Stutterbox and says Greg Caden will bring all the paperwork to 100 ENT. Hey, what happened to that? We want the 302 from WACK100, and I'm going to show y'all why. Let's go.
Yeah. So what do you got to say to those folks who actually said that and it never actually happened?
Well, first and foremost,
I did bring the paperwork. We just went over it. That's one of his dick suckers, T100. So that's the narrative, false narratives they push. Let's
I've never had a Cody or a crimey ever. I've always sent people home from the substation. So every time I went to jail, I did my time, took my time, did my time. So there is no paperwork on Wack. I have never, ever been arrested or convicted of a felony as an adult. Let me repeat that. I have never been arrested or convicted of a felony as an adult. I was a minor convicted and charged as an adult at 16.
Right.
I've been home 23 years. I have never had a felony charge since I've been home as an adult. I left a minor, came back, paroled an adult. So I don't know what case or what they're referring to. I've had a situation or two where I had some people attempt to tell on me what I call a lie snitch.
Right.
See, snitch is a snitch. Snitch is when a nigga tell on something you're doing. A lie snitch is when a nigga create a lie on something you're doing and they put the police on you. So you have a book called Murder Rap by Greg Akademiks. If you go to the chapter Stutterbox.
I'm going to also show y'all why you don't go read a book that a police officer wrote for the rendition of what the facts of the case are. They're going to give you facts of the case, but they're going to paint the story and only give you the facts of the case that they want to. We want the paperwork. Wack said that Greg Caden was going to bring all of the paperwork to 100 ENT. Make sure you bring the paperwork, and I'm going to read y'all this in a minute. Let's go.
You will see pictures of WACK100, Suge Knight, and a whole story of a dude attempting to tell on me where they put tracking devices on my vehicles, wiretaps, all that, kick my door in, cuff my wife up, raided my house, only to leave empty-handed. Because of that, their informant Stutterbox, they turned on him and arrested him.
Unless they found
same individual. If you go to Google and Google Robert Ross, you will see a bunch of shit show up where he had his own homeboys in jail, accusing them of kidnap and malicious intent of assault. There is also a movie on Netflix called Unsolved, Biggie Tupac. That's the story of the book Murder Rap. There's a scene in there where you got, the dude that played Uncle Jerome in Snowfall.
Yeah.
He pulls up to the donut shop in a Rolls Royce, and he's stuttering, and he's meeting with the police, and he tells them, I know this dude that got a trucking company, and he moving dope for Suge, right? That's Stutterbox. The dude he's talking about is me. They also got a scene where you see the police go put a tracking device on the diesel. That's my diesel. They got a scene where they pull the diesel over and search the back of the diesel, and they find nothing but magazines. Those magazines are straight stud magazines, right? That whole shit is about me, right? But it's written
I
in
thought
the
you
book.
didn't have
I
nothing
had Reggie White
to do with it.
contact that officer Greg Caden since these rumors came out. And Greg Caden just agreed 3 days ago to come to the podcast and bring all his paperwork and documents on Stutterbox to show Stutterbox work.
No. Stutterbox, we already know is a rat. We just read the paperwork that exposed him. Just because Stutterbox was a rat does not preclude you from also giving up intelligence, giving up information to get your ass up out of whatever they caught you doing, nigga.
So, Deuce, real
Stop
quick,
deflecting. Yeah.
To boomerang off of that. So basically, what he's doing is he's so bent on not admitting and letting people to like see the blur, the lines in their face that he is a rat. He's like, look, Stutterbox did X, Y, Z. Stutterbox did this. Nigga, what about what you did, snitch? It all comes back full circle to you because when your ass got caught for them guns, that's when your fucking work was begun. And that's how we know you've been working for a long time, CS2 back.
Oh, a very long time.
Very long time.
What's crazy, he tells us on Clubhouse, he tells Clubhouse, and it goes to YouTube, that he was under surveillance and that they ended up raiding his house, like he was just talking about, handcuffing his wife, searching his truck, which means there was a warrant to search his truck. There was a warrant to search his house. A judge had to sign off on that, right? And he said after that, he went to the 64th floor, and this is where he spoke with the people. Well, he said they weren't feds. He tried to play semantics because Greg Caden and Darren Dupree are LAPD officers, but they are also deputized FBI agents, right? The whole task force was deputized FBI agents. So once we finish this, I'm going to let y'all know exactly why and prove that WACK100 did go to the 64th floor on Wilshire to FBI headquarters and did speak with the police.
Work for him as a paid informant and tell the story on how he got put on me.
Listen, I know a lot of people say that there's paperwork on WACK100, but he was thoroughly investigated, man, and someone put the feds onto him and he came out clean. I would say that that's a good thing, and he did have his business together, but he may have been involved in something, some way, somehow, or maybe someone looked at his opulent lifestyle and did not believe that such opulence could come from legitimate business, and he had to be doing something dirty, considering the fact that he was running with Pyrus. But how many of y'all watch the murder rap TV show, man? And tell me what y'all think about that in the comment section, man. I'm gonna let y'all get back to it.
So the only way that my name could be in their paperwork is from the wiretaps that this nigga had them put on my phone. Wow. So if a nigga wiretap your phone, right, it's investigation. If I call T, yeah, T, what up, nigga? What's up? What you doing today? Meet me at the spot. All that's gonna be in there. So it'll say phone call, you know, WACK100 to T. Phone call, WACK100 to here. And see, that's how they tap your phone, T. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they tap mine, now I'm calling you. Now you a POI, person of interest. So now they tap your shit. So now if you calling this other motherfucker, they gonna tap his shit. It goes on for like 6 months. And when they don't get nothing on you, they gotta send you a letter in the mail, let you know your shit was tapped. But other than that, can't nobody provide or produce no paperwork or WACK cooperating, telling, testifying, or any of that. I am one of the loudest individuals, one of the hatest individuals, most hated in the industry. Do you think if they had some paperwork on WACK100, he wouldn't have been on the line?
That's a fact.
Yeah, so that's all that is. But like I said, the book is called Murder Rap by Greg Caden. You can go to like Kindle and all this shit, put it up, go to the chapter called Stutterbox. You can get straight to it. In there's also another dude named Keefy D. That was a dude that killed Tupac's uncle. He was also an informant. When he retired, he exposed everybody that was telling in that book. Cold cop, but he did it. Yeah, so I don't know where they got that from. I'm pretty sure when they went back and did their due diligence, yeah, my name might be in the paperwork, but my name in the paperwork as a motherfucker they investigate, not a motherfucker teller.
Right, right.
Yeah, so but you know, like I said, bro, ain't no way a nigga got some work on Wack and it ain't hit.
Well,
They
hit
job
now,
every day
nigga.
on this app, on the internet, everything is to find something on me. He the one ran death row, right? I told him to go find the police nigga that Stutterbox was working for that was paying him. Reggie just hit me back and said, dude said he had come in and do the podcast with me and bring all the paperwork in on Stutterbox. See, I tell these to leave me alone.
Man.
Wow.
See, now you didn't did that. Now I'm gonna have the police, he retired, come in. He gonna tell the whole story how Box put him on me, everything, the shit I didn't know, everything. Reggie hit me today and said, Wack, I found him. He said he'd be honored to come in with you because he violated your home for no reason. That's the least he could do. He bringing all the paperwork, dude was a worker to form and all that. See,
He
now
coming to the
dude,
real one, the
yeah,
real podcast. Like,
no,
So what we're gonna do?
yeah, the real part, the motherfucking the
That's good enough. So Greg Caden said that he was gonna bring all of the paperwork of that and information that Robert Ross Stutterbox gave. What we just read his statement to the police on this. And if you got something else, feel free to bring that. But listen, we were talking about this was all after I revealed the federal wiretap of Mark Stevens, Dale Dog, WACK100, and they're talking about the Stutterbox situation. And it's somebody named CS2 back on there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about. Why are you talking about Robert Ross? We even got Greg Caden lying, saying CS2 back was Box. How was CS2 back Box when on the wiretap, CS2 back is calling Mark Stevens to tell him that Box went sour and that the phones was tapped. That Box went sour on him. So let's do this real quick before we get into Greg Caden and WACK100 showing that WACK100 went and talked to him. So Greg Caden, go ahead and please bring to the 100 ENT side any 302s you got on Robert Ross and information you got to provide about him telling. It'd really help us, add a lot of pieces of the puzzle in place. But don't neglect the fact this all started when we revealed the wiretap that we're going to prove you substantiated the authenticity of the wiretap saying CS2 back. Where your boy, informant, confidential source, let me be technically correct. Your confidential source said that Duse M, Lamonte, added CS2 back to the wiretap and his fake paperwork. We got Greg Caden admitting that the paperwork says CS2 back. In fact, he's arguing against Scandalous Los Angeles, saying, wait, doesn't the paperwork say CS2 back? So now we know that the paperwork has CS2 back on that wiretap, on that call, calling Mark Stevens.
So basically, Deuce, you got a typewriter, the paper, became a stenographer, and you typed up all of this stuff, predated, and put in parentheses CS2 back, not WHACK, but BACK in the paperwork, correct?
Well, first, yeah, that's what he said I did. But first,
all right,
let's get here. So you know that why are you lying about a case that you say you had nothing to do with, and then why they ran into your house? So he said the reason they ran into his house was because he was living beyond his means. See, he wants y'all to think that he's this mogul, millionaire, you know what I'm saying? And now that Kim left, he's far from it. You know what I'm saying? No living. Salute to Kim, very intelligent queen, very
Kimberly.
No, living beyond your means is not a crime in California. You know what I'm saying?
So wait a
However,
minute. This is the reason why he said the feds came and picked them up, but the feds don't come pick you up if you're living beyond your means. That means
Right.
you choose to spend all your money and blow your checks on strippers and bars and rat clothing or whatever the case you may do.
Right.
They ain't gonna come pick you up because you doing that, right?
No.
Oh yeah, he lying.
Yeah, he just was lying. But look, I had one time got on Facebook and I got to Greg Caden. This was July 24. Can you see that, Yael?
Let me see, brother. Yes. Greg, yes, I can see that.
Greg Caden.
May
So
24th. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I see it.
So I said, I am trying to locate the investigative report on your interview of Cash Jones and the audio or video recording thereof. How can I obtain that? He said, I don't think it would be available, Lamonte. He hit me back about an hour and 10 minutes later. I said, I don't think they would destroy evidence of an ongoing investigation. He waived his Miranda rights. So there has to be documentation of that. You know what I'm saying? And any statement pertaining to the investigation, pertinent or non-pertinent, will not be destroyed. So Greg Caden says, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying it would be hard to get your hands on it. So for a fact, WACK100, there is an investigative report of Wack, his interview of Cash Jones. There is audio or video recording thereof. How can I obtain that? I'm not saying it don't exist. I'm saying it'll be hard to get your hands on it. I said, well, as a citizen, don't I have a right to access such public records? He said, not necessarily. I said, well, the only way that we, the people, wouldn't have a right to access public records is if those records contain confidential information. Even then, I should be able to get a redacted version. He said, or if it's related to an open homicide case. If I'm talking about Yael's investigative report and his statements to the police and me getting access to it, and he tells me it's going to be hard to get it, and I say, well, we got the right as the people, the public records, and he said, what, shouldn't I be able to get a redacted version, which would, you know, cover up anything and black out anything that's confidential? He said, no, not if it's related to an open homicide case. Okay, so then we go into all of that stuff. So we can get into that later. It's irrelevant. But I was able to get dates to help me build this timeline that I got. Can you see that? Can you see that, Yael?
Yeah, you wrote them down on that paper. Let me see.
No, that's Greg Caden's. You don't see that white finger?
Oh,
that's Greg Caden's finger.
Because you said you was able to write something down. I'm thinking you just
no. Okay. I was able to. Oh yeah, I got my own timeline. But this is some of the things that help get it. The date on this is January 10th, a Thursday, 2008. This is a calendar from Greg Caden as related to this case. Work at 6 o'clock in the morning. At 9 a.m. to 12 o'clock, Detective Bureau briefing with Chief Brennan. We all know who Brennan is, right? Compton PD, who works under Reggie Wright Sr., right?
Oh, my gosh.
Met with C. Metrales and Mark Arenas. Remember the case Mark Arenas and them had? Remember Mark Arenas were the first people who were on the Stutterbox kidnapping investigation before Detective Coet and Detective Paul Fournier took over the case. When I read the paperwork, and we're going to be reacting to that today, and then you guys will be able to catch up when we react to it. He met with Mihiro Roman, whatever, and Mark Arenas, Del Dog, and bringing the case to, I think, I don't know, basically UE 2000 Rampart. I guess that's where they met at, down at for the briefing at Rampart. This was January 10th, 2008. I guess that's fake also. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, all the paperwork is fake. Everything is, not legitimate, because we're saying it because we're not federal informants or FBI agents with flapjackets on the 64th floor or Greg Cadence. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I get
we're not this.
it.
Here you go.
So I sent them all of this paper, and he ended up blocking me. And he talked shit about Phil Carson,
right.
And then it was also I think that was pretty much it with Greg Caden. It was just back and forth arguing and him trying to
deflect from the situation that you asking them about CS2 back.
Yes, that's pretty much all it was about. You know what I'm saying? You're right. Evidently, all of the Cash Jones nonsense is meaningful to you. So I wish you were back. That nigga was hot. He called me an idiot. He was mad as a motherfucker because I wouldn't let go. Persistence can irritate somebody, especially when they try to insult your intelligence. So,
and that they try to do that often, and you always boomerang back with some good shit, man.
So if Stutterbox was an informant, you know what I'm saying, and and they were able to divulge his cooperating as a victim and a witness in the Main Street case,
right?
And Greg agreed to bring Stutterbox paperwork to the 100 side on Clubhouse. Well, Greg Caden, here's a challenge for you and for your confidential source, 237. You can do that for him. We're not really concerned about him, but we appreciate the gesture, and we would love to meet you on that platform and to go over that, but only under the premise that you bring the 302 from Cash Jones, the statements that he made to you.
Right.
Why would he be even making statements about an ongoing murder investigation? I wonder what murder investigation
I'm very sleepy right now. Do you want me to help you pack?
That he gave information on, since they said we can't get it because it's related to an ongoing murder investigation. What murder Oh shit. Greg Caden is the lead detective on the Biggie Smalls murder investigation. Oh, this is some nasty work. And that's ongoing. So they can't let that out. That's why Greg Caden didn't want Stutterbox testifying in that Main Street case no more and sacrifice that. There's a $400 million lawsuit by the Christopher Wallace family estate against the city of Los Angeles and the LAPD. Their primary focus was to make sure they found a theory that would cast enough doubt to get them off of that lawsuit because it would have broken the city. I got Greg Caden saying that was the LAPD's primary focus. Well, you were an employee of the LAPD. You were put in that position after Detective Poole was saying that it was the police had something to do with the assassination of Biggie Smalls, right? It was a professional hit, right? So if Stutterbox gets on the stand and they question him about Cash Jones, now a 137 informant identity can't even be revealed to a judge. So now it's a conflict of interest. I wonder if that's the conflict of interest that Detective Co-Ed Paul Fournier and the task force had with Greg Caden and Darren Dupree. And I wonder if that's why Greg Caden utilized the U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney in federal court to rule in his favor and have him on the stand to expose Stutterbox as an unreliable informant so that they wouldn't have to reveal the identity of their confidential source on their primary case, which is the Biggie Small murder. This is nasty work.
Download Keyway Conversations.
We connecting the dots and we gonna cook. Hold on. Now we gonna get into we're gonna get into this. My player partner, he just called me, so I'm gonna mute up and play this and call him back. Greg Caden tries to protect WACK100, but ends up exposing him. Mind you, there's only, and after this, I'm gonna break it down for you guys.
Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers. Today, we're gonna let you guys hear what Greg Caden has to say about CS2 back. You're gonna hear Greg attempt to shield his confidential source, but you're also gonna hear him place Wack directly in the CS2 driver's seat. I'll interject a little throughout the interview, just to point out a few things. Other than that, I'm gonna just let it play. Tell me in the comment section what you think. Now, Greg, this isn't about you. This is about Wack. I understand you have to do what you gotta do. But if he can bring you on Clubhouse to tell us all that stuff, I feel I should be able to ask some questions, so the people can be informed. So again, this has nothing to do with you. This is about Wack.
Yeah, I get it. No, and again, I'm not trying to get in the middle of whatever bullshit is going on between Wack and whatever bullshit's going on with Starbucks. I don't give a fuck about that beef. Whatever it is, they'll figure it out. I'm just going to tell you investigatively, we would have listed Wack, Cash Jones, in our paperwork. He would have been like target one, and his phone would have been target one. And so when we were looking at him, we used particular language in our paperwork. So if we're writing the wiretap affidavit for his phone, we would say Cash Jones, also known as Wack. You were utilizing target number, whatever, which would be his phone. I think it was some 661 phone number. And that's just the language. Nowhere within the paperwork related to the investigation of Cash Jones, was he ever mentioned as a CS or an informant? Because he wasn't.
Okay. Now, Greg, we're talking about the case Stutterbox had against Shaquille O'Neal and the 7 Main Street Crips. When Wack brought you on Clubhouse, he asked you what would he have been referred to as in the paperwork.
And then in your paperwork, I don't know. How was I referred to? Was I referred to Wack, Cash Jones? They have this Back name. I don't know who the fuck Back is. I don't know. I know I've never had that moniker, but I don't know. Maybe it was some coded shit. Or how did you recall referring to me
that's your code name.
through all the paperwork when you guys were like listening in on my wiretaps? So like saying, okay, this is Wack, this is Cash Jones on the wiretap. What was I referred to in your, because I've never looked over that paperwork, never had a need to. What was I referred to?
If Wack had nothing to do with Del Dog, Shaq, or any of the Main Street Crips, why would his name be being referred to in the paperwork at all?
So again, this is completely different investigation. We have to be real careful that we don't cross over these ideas, because when I said he would have been mentioned in the paperwork, if we're talking about Cash Jones's case, then we may have mentioned a CS, which would have been Stutterbox, saying these things about Cash that we investigated. There's that. Now, if Cash is asking me if his name was in the Main Street case, no, it wasn't. Now, if Cash is asking me if his name was in the Main Street case, no, it wasn't.
So we all know that Greg is not being truthful when he says that. We can clearly see Wack's government name, Cash Jones, all in this case. Hey, Christopher Loves Boys, This shows you why you can't believe everything the police say. This also shows you that the police are protecting Wack.
So this is the paperwork, and he just said that Wack had nothing to do with this case, and the only way you're gonna find, and he's finna tell you the only time you hear him is on the wiretap. But here's the paperwork right here, and it definitely has Mark Stevens interrogation by police, a statement where he implicates Cash Jones in the blackmail and extortion attempt of him and Shaquille O'Neal. And then you also have it down here where he receives a call from Cash Jones, Mark Stevens, him being Mark Stevens. And then you got Stutterbox, who implicated Cash Jones as the person sent to pass the message, which would be one overt act as part of the conspiracy. So we're going to get to that also. Let's go.
As they would any other confidential informant that's in good standing with them, unlike Stutterbox. But I want you to hear what Greg says right after he said Wack was not in the Main Street case at all.
There was no mention of Cash in the Main Street case. There was no mention of Cash in the Main Street case other than when he's trying to get a hold of Mark Stevens and in order to tell him that Box has been compromised.
Yeah, and that's what the wiretap transcript said CS2 back, or Wack, was calling Del Dog to do. Not Del Dog, but Mark Stevens.
See what you just did, though?
Yeah, I said Del Dog.
You said CS2 Wack. It doesn't say that, does it?
Yes, it does.
Doesn't it say CS2 back?
Yeah.
One of the most important statements in here is you have the head lead of the Joint Task Force, a deputized FBI agent for these investigations, saying, doesn't the paperwork say CS2 back? He's arguing, telling Scandalous, the paperwork doesn't say CS2 Wack. It says CS2 back. So I wonder how Duse M and Yael were able to put CS2 back on the wiretap that already says CS2 back. So when you hear WACK100, and we'll get to that later, you know, deflecting and making up, first undermining the journalistic work that we do here at the Damu Kiwe Conversations podcast, right? The standard and reputation that we hold ourselves to at the Damu and Kiwe Conversations by blatantly, falsely accusing us of altering paperwork to add CS2 back. Let's make sure that Greg Caton says it again. Doesn't the paperwork say CS2 back? Listen.
Wack, or Wack, was calling Del Dog to do. Not Del Dog, but Mark Stevens.
See what you just did, though?
Yeah, I said Del Dog.
You said CS2 Wack. It doesn't say.
Come on, man.
That does it?
Yes, it does.
Doesn't it say CS2 back?
Yes, it says CS2 back.
Okay, well, do you know what you just said?
So now he wants to play semantics or whatever, but Scandalous Los Angeles says the paperwork says CS2 back. After Greg Caton said, well, doesn't the paperwork say CS2 back? And he said, yeah, the paper says CS2 back. He said, but that's not what you said. You said CS2 Wack. Okay, forget that he said CS2 Wack. The point is the authentication of the wiretap, that the lead detective on the wiretap who was listening to WACK100 in them has paperwork that says that it says CS2 back. We didn't add that. So now we know there's 4 people that's talked about on this wiretap. just the pages that we showed, the 3 pages. You got CS2 back, who calls Mark Stevens, tells Mark Stevens that Box went sour, and the phones is compromised. You got Mark Stevens, who answers that call and was calling Del Dog because CS2 back wanted to talk to Del Dog. And you got Stutterbox, who was mentioned as somebody who went bad. CS2 is saying Stutterbox went bad. So if Stutterbox went bad, we know that Stutterbox is in CS2 back. Boom! We could take that finger away, right? Bam! Mark Stevens, this is CS2 back calling Mark Stevens. Mark Stevens gets the call from CS2 back saying that Box went sour and the phones is compromised. And he's calling Del Dog. So we know that that's not CS2 back. Mark Stevens is not CS2 back. CS2 back is trying to get in contact with Del Dog. So we know that Del Dog is not CS2 back. CS2 back, aka the Wack boy. And we're going to let you know, even though he initially denied that was him on that call, we're going to let you know who CS2 back is right here, because Greg Caden affirms it.
What did I say?
CS2 Wack.
I meant CS2 back.
Because in your mind, and bear with me, no offense here, but I think you've already come to the conclusion that Wack is Wack, and that's why that's such an easy mistake to make.
Well, the reason I think Wack is CS2 back is because that's who Mark Stevens said he was talking to.
Nobody's disputing that. Nobody's disputing that Mark Stevens is saying that Wack is who he was talking to.
But he's saying...
So he ain't saying that Mark Stevens is lying, that he was talking to Wack on that wiretap.
Saying that that's back. He is saying that back is Wack.
How does Mark Stevens put that together? Show me how Mark Stevens has anything to substantiate that back is Wack.
In the paperwork they put him as back, BACK. And
right.
I kept asking the lawyer, like, who the fuck is? I ain't talked to no back. And they said, nah, that's Wack. But they put him as back because he a blood, so it's back. And I said, oh, okay.
And was this back also referred as confidential source? And just because Mark Stevens' lawyer assumed that the reason the police used the name Back instead of Wack was probably because he was a blood, doesn't negate the fact that they knew that that person on that call was Wack. That's what you finna see Greg Caden try to deflect from the original topic and go into undermining that. You said that was Wack on the call. You don't dispute that. Now let's go.
What's number 2? Yes, sir.
Okay, so no offense.
Hold on.
To Mark.
Mark Stevens.
Okay.
And was this back also referred as confidential source number 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so no offense to Mark. He doesn't know any better. But when we're writing official police reports, we don't play the game. We don't change language or change spelling because we are, part of the gang culture. We're not going to put Wack. We're going to put Back because he's a blood, not a Crip, and we don't. That's not how we operate. We don't. That's gang shit. We don't write as gangsters. We write as police officers and try to be as specific as possible.
Greg is saying they try to be as specific as possible, and that they don't do things like that. But we're all looking at a wiretap transcript where they did exactly that. They put a person named Back in the paperwork, and no one knows who Back is.
We don't change things in order to... So if Mark Stevens is thinking that, oh man, the cops just put this in there this way because he's a blood and not a Crip, it's not how it works.
I hear you, Greg. But even without them doing that, the conversation with Mark Stevens and Del Dog did actually take place. And Mark Stevens is saying the person who called him looking for Del Dog's phone number was Wack. Mark said he doesn't know anyone named Back. So why would they put some fake person that Mark has never ever talked to in the transcripts?
No, I get that. See, we are totally in agreement. The conversation is Wack, obviously. The conversation is Wack, obviously. But this explanation of Wack being back, that doesn't, there's nothing to substantiate that other than...
Fuck the explanation that Mark Stevens' lawyers had gave him saying they knew that Back was Wack. Fuck that Back was Wack. The bottom line is what you just said right now.
Obviously. But
Put some fake person that Mark has never ever talked to in the transcripts.
No, I get that. See, we are totally in agreement. The conversation is Wack, obviously. The conversation is Wack, obviously.
The conversation is Wack, obviously. So now we know that this paperwork that you're looking at says CS2 Back. Greg Caden confirmed that this wiretap says confidential source to Back, aka the Wack boy. And that's who they're talking about. And that's who made the call to Mark Stevens. Now, what we just got confirmation from is it's obviously Wack.
We're totally in agreement. The conversation is Wack, obviously. The conversation is Wack, obviously. But this explanation of Wack being back,
we don't even need no more of that. Those were the two things I sought, I came, I sought, I conquered. Shout out to my player partner, Scandalous, Los Angeles TV. Oh, he flamed his ass up, right? So now, we do know that the paperwork is authentic, as verified, that it says CS2 Back on that paperwork. So good try, CS2 Back. I hope World Star Hip Hop is listening. Media Lab, shout out Media Labs LA. I need my bag though, but shout them out. You know what I'm saying? But y'all might be able to want to utilize this in court. Matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out to their attorney today and make sure we could dialogue. You know, but CS2 Back is authenticated paperwork by Greg Caden, who confirms that the paperwork says CS2 Back. Greg Caden again confirms that on that call it's obviously Wack. It's obviously Wack. So Wack is CS2 Back.
I told you.
The same thing that Mark Stevens told me. The same thing that Stutterbox told me. And we're going to get into them documentaries and refresh your memories a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? This now is being validated and verified by Greg Caden. He cannot contest that. He want to contest, well, how did they come up with it? Who cares how he came up with it? He knows that who he was talking to on the phone was Wack. You verify that, right? Okay. He knows that CS2 Back is the person calling. You verified that the paperwork is authentic and it says that that's the person that's calling. What the fuck is we talking about? There's nothing else to debate. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing else to debate on that matter. You know, there's still the matter of the Texas gun case and how long he's been working and just showing you how much of a liar this guy is. You know what I'm saying? So let me show you guys this real quick, right? And we finna start breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start breaking it down. So you got Mark Stevens and Robert Ross, who told the sheriffs that Cash Jones, his real name, Cash Jones, was the one who brought the message that Stutterbox has a sex tape of Shaq with another bitch and TMZ would pay a lot of money for, right? He brought that message to Shaq and Mark Stevens in an attempt to blackmail and extort him. To convict the suspect of conspiracy, the prosecution must prove the following elements. Agreement. There was an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime. Okay. Here you have Stutterbox and WACK100 agreeing to extort and blackmail Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens about an alleged sex tape that they claim to have. Intent. That the defendant intended to join the agreement and commit the crime. So they didn't just talk about it. The defendant intended to join the agreement in crime. How do you know that? Because there was at least one overt act, which means at least one of the conspirators, Wack or Robert Ross, committed an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Going to tell Mark Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal about this sex tape and threatening that TMZ would pay a nice little penny for it is conspiracy to extort, conspiracy to blackmail. These are crimes that they have proof of and corroborating evidence when we talk about Cash McElroy Jones. You know what I'm saying? This is nasty work. I don't know how he thought he was going to get around this one. You got the right one, baby. Uh-huh. So, now, let's get into this real quick, right? Let's get into this real quick. Boom. I think it's, damn, I'm trying to find this, what you call it, bear with us real quick. Oh, yeah, here it go right here. Boom. I got you, y'all. Let me put this on here. If you don't get you some Wi-Fi, brother, let's get this started. So now we done broke that down and proved that WACK100 is CS2 back. Prove that the elements of a conspiracy to extort or a conspiracy to blackmail. And after we finish this video, I'll pull up the law on blackmailing and extortion.
Man, how do you get a wellness check?
This is Robert.
Man, this shit is funny, homie. How do you get a wellness check and then you got two police on Clubhouse? The police that sent me to prison, homie, and a whole lot of other homies. Wack, man, the lies you tell, homie, is if anybody know paperwork or the streets or how this shit go, they know you lying. My fault is not keeping it in the streets after they try to kill my wife and threaten to kidnap my.
So he's admitting that he didn't keep it in the street when they threatened to knock down his wife and his other family members. You said that's why you didn't keep it in the street, but what you wasn't telling us that you was already working, nigga. You was already an informant. Let's go.
My nieces and nephews, I should have kept it in the streets, but I made a conscious decision to put some protection on my family. So if that make me a snitch, I eat that, but I should have kept it in the streets. That's how they was able to intervene on my life. I didn't know I was under investigation for the Biggie Smalls murder, homie.
Here we go again. The investigation of Biggie Smalls murder. Let's go.
So, doing the inside shit with my neighborhood, they catch the Wack nigga on a wiretap, plotting. So, I'm thinking they getting at us about another plot on my family life. But they kick Wack name to me. So, I guess the police who had me under surveillance for the Biggie Smalls murder heard on the wiretap what happened or what was going on. It must have got at the police saying the guy who was almost killed and his wife was almost killed or whatever, he's our suspect in the Biggie Smalls murder. So they came and hollered at me. I'm thinking it was about a threat on my family life, about that case. I didn't even know I was under investigation for the Biggie Smalls murder. So when they got at me and told me you crossed me with dog, I heard it. I still told him, okay, he did that. But the nigga don't break the law with that truck. That nigga pack a lunch and go to work every day. How do a nigga driving a Rolls Royce tell on a nigga who packing a lunch and going to work? But you flipping it, Wack. You know, you flipping it like you flip it on everybody else you fuck with, homie. You flip it. That's how they came into my life. He wrote a book and made a movie, so you're gonna flip it and twist it and make it look to your favor. But if anybody know how this shit go, man, it's common sense. But on your part, nigga, you the police. How you got a police on speed dial? You got a wellness check. You recording the feds. Man, check this out, man. I'ma stay out here and stay ready. But boy, a nigga know who you is and what's up with you. So however it happen, it's gonna happen. You feel me? But you need to keep Jim Jones' name out your mouth, boy, because you ain't got no room to talk.
Hey, man, I'm going to leave it right here, man. Stutterbox has spoken, has responded. Y'all let me know in the comment section, what do y'all feel about this, man? Is the paperwork, or...
So that's Stutterbox, who was the victim, a witness in the kidnapping case of himself against the Main Street Crips. He also implicated WACK100 in the conspiracy to extort, the conspiracy to blackmail. And let's talk about the Hobbs Act real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because the Hobbs Act carries anywhere from 20 years in prison. The Hobbs Act allows up to 20 years in prison for extortion alone. A federal statute for blackmail is 18 U.S.C. subsection 873. Blackmail is also a crime in every state. Blackmail is a federal crime that involves forcing someone to give money, property, or services. That's blackmail, right? Now let's see what's the difference between blackmail and extortion. Blackmail is a type of extortion that involves threatening to expose damaging information, while extortion involves using threats of violence or property damage. So this is what he did with Kim K, the second Kim K tape, him and Ray J. This is what he did. Up to 20 years. Oh, he was facing some time. Now you hear him talking about some conspiracy to murder, and we're going to get into that. But real quick, we'll get into that, and then we'll go back to that. Let's go. We got this clip real quick. Now, remember, he didn't have nothing to do with the Main Street Crips, but he allegedly hid out Del Dog Killer. This is nasty work. He's admitting to to be an aided and abettor in a conspiracy to murder. This shit is crazy.
And Darren Dupree or some shit.
Yeah.
When we coming outside.
So he's talking about Greg Caden and Darren Dupree when he's coming out of the building, 64th floor, which means he sat down with them people.
And Darren Dupree or some shit.
Yeah.
When we coming outside on the stairway, me and my attorney, they stop us. They say, look, man, we can't afford this harassment lawsuit you file. You know, I'm beyond the gated community. I'm claiming I'm embarrassed. I got to move my family. My wife is traumatized. You kick my dough in. I'm putting extras on it, right?
Right.
They said, listen, man. They advised my attorney. My attorney said, look, dude said, drop the case and they owe you one. If you don't drop it, right, then you know what come with that. My attorney's talking to me. He know my personal business and say, you know how you are every day. So you don't really need that in your mix. So I said, well, listen, I don't need no motherfuckers hemming me up every day. We figured out as we figured out. I leave it like that. About 6 months go by, I look at the media. I see they got Shaq tied up. They're making accusations that Shaq Caden and Darren Dupree or some shit.
Yeah.
When we coming outside on the stairway, me and my attorney, they stop us.
So
dude said, drop the case and they owe you one. If you don't drop it,
owe you one,
right, then you know what come with that.
Deputized FBI agents owe you one. Imagine that.
My attorney's talking to me. He know my personal business and say, you know how you are every day. So you don't really need that in your mix. So I said, well, listen, I don't need no motherfuckers hemming me up every day. We figured out as we figured out. I leave it like that. About 6 months go by, I look at the media. I see they got Shaq tied up. They're making accusations that Shaq paid the Main Street.
So about 6 months after they raided his house and he went to the 64th floor, this is his timeline. After they tell him 6 months after they tell him he owe him one. Now they're on Shaq and Mark Stevens and these Crips. Nasty work.
Crips to go kidnap this dude, started box. It wasn't in LA Live, it was on Sunset Boulevard. Right? So they tied Shaq into it. Shaq had did videos with the Main Streets because Box was his dude. They using all this shit against him, saying he's tied into the gang culture and all this shit, blase, blase, blase. Right? I call my man Money Mark. Right? Money Mark is Shaquille's right-hand man, his business partner. I said, yo, Mark, check it out. Call my attorney. Tell my attorney, I said, put you online with that federal officer. Have your attorney call that federal officer to the stand. But first tell him to call Box to the stand. You want him to do one thing and one thing only. Ask Box if he's a federal informant, documented. Everybody from LA is in the courtroom, he's gonna lie. Trust me, I know him, he's gonna lie. When that happens, I'm giving you a jewel because Shaq looked out for me, right? I don't need this favor, so I'm passing it to you. Have your attorney call this Greg Cadence in, have him take the stand, and then let him tell the judge and present the documents he have, the fingerprints, all the paperwork, the payments they've been paying this dude every month to show that this dude is a federal informant. At that point in time, Box has perjured himself on the stand. Whatever allegations against Shaq and anybody else tied to the case, they got to kick it out. I lay back. Money Mark calls my attorney. Money Mark calls my attorney. My attorney called me. I said, yeah, give him that information. That favor they owe me, let them use it. He need it. I don't need it. Because they got Shaq in the trick bag. You can go to Google. That shit is still on Google. They do all that. Sure enough, he get up there, Box under oath, denies it, all this. They call Greg Cadence in the motherfucker. Greg Cadence come in with his file, hands it to the judge. The judge open it up. I guess, I don't know, it's some type of contract you sign when you signing up for these type of things, former programs or whatever. Judge looks at it, calls, makes sure it's authentic, throws the case out. Not only does Shaq walk, but all the Main Street Crips walk too that day out of court. That's how that happened.
All right then.
Damn, Wack, you the one that saved Shaq then.
I saved
I'm about to say that. On the main streets. It's real shit. Okay, all of that is absolute bullshit, except for the fact we met him at his lawyer's office. We sat down. We said, "Here's the deal, man. You know, we've had this case against you. We came up empty-handed. You know, sorry that you got caught in the middle of this. Somebody put your name out there. We didn't know any better, so we followed. You know, we gave fucking Stutterbox the benefit of the doubt. Here we are. You know, was there an apology? I don't know. It's my style to kind of apologize. Sorry you had to fucking go through this. But nonetheless, it is what it is. The idea of suing us, fucking bullshit. Us having an agreement like we owe you one, bullshit. The idea of him having anything to do with the trial of when Stutterbox went to testify and the thing fell apart, Cash had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. So he's just taking all of these pieces of information and putting them together like he was the puppet master. It's all absolute bullshit.
Absolute bullshit. So we're going to close this one and get to it. So now you see that he was lying about the police coming out there. The lawsuit he said he filed, lie.
You know what else he lied about?
If he want to prove that he filed that lawsuit, go give us the case number so we can pull the paperwork up and show that Greg Caden is lying on you. That you actually did file a lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? Like you say you did. Go ahead, bro. What you finna say?
You want to know what else he lied about? He said, "Hey, they told me that I owe you one." He just said the idea of us owing you one, bullshit.
Right.
Nah, nigga, they don't owe you nothing.
Well, maybe Wack ain't lying about that. Maybe Greg Caden just didn't know that Darren Dupree told him I owe you one. You know what I'm saying?
You are correct.
You know, maybe Darren Dupree, you know, Greg Caden was close to retiring, you know, had smut on his name and all kind of shit. So let's see what CS2 Back is talking about right here. Boom, let's go.
The white cop, Greg Caden. The worst thing you could do, bro, listen, if you want to be Wack, just have your shit. And the closest thing you're going to get to a victory.
Go into that. Let's cut that off. We're cutting that off. Let's go to, we finna really get to cutting. Stutterbox respond to Wack. We already did that one. Let's get to some of these clips. And these clips is finna cut deep. Not these first couple, but the ones right after. Oh, y'all gonna love this. Let's break this lying bitch down. Let's go. Stutterbox is gonna incriminate this man.
I had to do with the case, bro.
Wack, listen. In the paperwork, it said you tried to call Dog.
In the paperwork.
He won't take your call. I sent it to you. And he said
I talked to Dog.
But he said he didn't talk to you. He wouldn't take your call. But they said he wouldn't talk. Yeah, and Dog said he was cool. He didn't want to talk to you in the paperwork. That's what you said is going off of what
that whole Main Street shit. That was your play. I had nothing to do with it. I was a victim.
Because they said when Dog called you, his phone was hit. That's how they got on your line.
No.
And you play. That's what they say, what?
No.
As you can see.
Oh, my bad.
By now in this first part, Stutterbox clearly implicates WACK100 into this case, not only in an interview with Duse M's and Stats 280, but also right to Wack's face on the recorded phone call. In part 2 of this video, let's take a look at the actual paperwork from the case, which exposes WACK100 as a confidential source in the Main Street Mafia Crips case. For this breakdown of the paperwork,
So we'll get up off of that one. And now we're going to show you some more shit. This was us interviewing Stutterbox. Let's give a little clout to Zesty 100, who used to be known as Stats 280, the Pink Panther. You know what I'm saying? He on that dick. He really came out the closet and shit. And he really hates Yael and me now because he felt like he should have been here with us. But I cut his water off because he come to find out he ain't even really from Grape Street. So he was on the internet false flagging. He ain't even from 280. I talked to the Grape Street Crips out there, they don't know the dude. And he feels like Yael took his spot. And he said, Yael, this nigga said, Damu Keyway conversation started from the UOD. Wait a minute.
Man, that nigga is
real quick
delusional.
Delusional, bro. He's obsessed. That shit is so rainbow, right? So I left the UOD. You remember when I left the UOD because you left with me. You
right.
Big Messy left with me, right?
Right.
What room we used to be hanging in after the UOD? Well, before, during the UOD.
It was real Damu love.
So I told you, damn, you be up in here, Spider-Loc be up in here, Bomani be up in here, Brick Baby be up in here, ODM Slim be up in here, and it's called Real Damu Love. I want to make it more comfortable for the Crips. I'm going to change the name to Damu and Keyway Conversations. You was like, nah, M, you ain't got to do that. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. My mind's already made up. You were the first person and the only person I told that until I had already did it. So UOD had nothing to do with it. But here you go. This is when, before he got back on his knees, sucking CS2 Back's eggplant. Let's go. On audio of WACK100 that the feds had, but haven't charged him for conspiring to murder.
He allegedly gave Dog my address, homie. And I told you that they was in front of my house. So somebody gave him the address. If I get killed, whoever gave him the address gonna get conspiracy to murder. But if I don't get killed, they just get conspiracy to attempted murder because they shot up my Rolls Royce, put 17 holes in my Rolls Royce. Whoever passed the baton. So it's a question mark there, homie. You know, we from the streets. We know that.
Right.
Stutter box. So how about this? When have you had any conversations with Mark Stevens after all this happened?
Nothing. Yeah. Mark, my Muslim brother, homie.
Okay. Okay.
I love the brother. I talked to him probably last week.
We glad that we got that cleared up because it shows. All right, so that was enough right there. So he's saying that those dudes did pull up in front of his house, right? And that they didn't nobody have his address. None of his homies had his address. So he know it was Wack. And that's what the feds told him. And that's probably when he twisted on Wack, right? And flipped on Wack, giving them information on Wack. Because they telling him that Wack then gave the boogeyman his number. Let's get into, his address. Let's get into this real quick. If y'all pay attention on this, you will be hearing Wack talk about why he was in charge as an ex-felon in possession of a gun. Let's go.
You got my name and I'm talking. I don't talk. That's their job, nigga.
We got proof to talk.
I told him, like, I said, you want to get yourself in a trick bag like Lamonte, putting that fake work out there. But this is what's crazy. That's a real dismissal. What's wrong with the dismissal? I don't even know.
I told him that earlier. That was me earlier, bro.
Bro, that's a real dismissal.
I heard you earlier.
Nigga, I put that up on my Instagram years ago. That is a real dismissal. He said it said, I said, where it say immunity at? What you talking about, nigga? What the fuck are you talking about? Them niggas. The Tupac, whoop-de-whoop, bro. I've never met Tupac. Tupac was out here 11 years. I was in the penitentiary, bro.
That nigga had me dying laughing.
Yeah, I'm like, nigga
got mad at me when I told him Tupac died at 25. That was all them years, almost 28 years ago. I said, do the math. What y'all saying?
I said, bro, I said, that's what I told him. I said, bro, I've never met Tupac. I'm pretty sure my square ass girlfriend at the time. Never met the nigga either. I don't know what you. We've been together since we've been 14, my nigga. I don't know where that come from, but I know y'all trying to tie me into death row. I keep telling people I was in prison. I didn't come home till 99. My dealings with death row didn't come till after all them niggas was gone, but they try to mix it up, throw it in there. Nah, bro.
They trying to tie you in with Wack Deuce.
Yeah, but yeah, that ain't me.
Yeah,
Wack
nah.
Deuce will tell you that. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
yo, Wack.
Talk to that nigga.
Home instead for a better what's next.
Let's get back to the content. Damn, this shit roaming. God damn. What's up with my damn Wi-Fi, man? The access is on. Let's go. Damu Keyway. Conversations. Let's go move this up a little bit.
Tell these people, Wack, that stutter box case has something to do with a Crips, and that it was your truck that they came and get the straight stunting magazines, because them niggas try to argue that when I said I was talking.
That's definitely, that's the nigga. The nigga went and told the motherfucking people that I'm moving dope in my diesels from Tijuana to Seattle. That whole scene is me. If you go right now. The ladies know what's that little site y'all read. You can read the books on the phone.
Kindle.
Go right now to Kindle right now. Go to the book Murder Rap. The author is Greg Cadence. Turn to the chapter called Stutter Box. You're going to see my name, Kaz Jones, pictures of me, pictures of Suge, and a whole description of them saying Stutter Box came to us and gave us this man's name. We didn't know who he was. He said he was transporting drugs for Suge Knight in his diesels. Whoop-de-whoop. We investigated him for 9 months, spent over $300,000, only to come up empty-handed to learn that the man runs a string of small legal businesses. They
Wack, that's what I told. I said, and if you want to watch the shit is on Netflix. Unsolved.
It's on Netflix.
It's episode 5.
But you can go read that shit your motherfucking self. Now watch this, right? So these are the head detectives of that Main Street, all that shit, right? The man is saying that Wack was a person of interest because a motherfucker brought us his name. He's not saying Wack was part of the Main Street ring. I got Main Street told him, dude moving drugs on his diesel. If y'all want to get Suge, get him and then he can give you Suge. This nigga just told him, I guess I call it a lie snitch. These niggas had tracking devices. They gonna tell you. Mr. Jones found a tracking device. I was on his truck when he was at a truck stop. They gonna break it all down. Pictures of me at my 30th birthday party. Suge there, everybody there. They got all the pictures in there and said it was after spending $300,000-$400,000 and all this shit. Only thing we came up with is he want to string of small legal businesses. That's it. So when you see that, it lets you know, nigga, I was never arrested ever in my life or whatever the fuck them niggas had going on. One of them niggas tried to get me booked. The only thing saved me if I was legal.
And Wack, that's what I was telling them. I said, the nigga Stutterbox was telling on Shaq.
That nigga told on everybody. We didn't know the nigga was an informant. Nobody knew, bro. This nigga out here doing...
You back this up a little. Let's go.
Then he can give you Suge. This nigga just told him, I guess I call it a lie snitch. These niggas had tracking devices. They gonna tell you. Mr. Jones found a tracking device. I was on his truck when he was at a truck stop. They gonna break it all down. Pictures of me at my 30th birthday party. Suge there, everybody there. They got all the pictures in there and said it was after spending $300,000-$400,000 and all this shit. Only thing we came up with is he want to string of small legal businesses. That's it. So when you see that, it lets you know, nigga, I was never arrested ever in my life or whatever the fuck them niggas had going on. One of them niggas tried to get me booked. The only thing saved me if I was legal.
And Wack, that's what I was telling them. I said the nigga Stutterbox was telling on Shaq.
That nigga told on everybody. We didn't know the nigga was an informant. Nobody knew, bro. This nigga out here doing everything under the sun, nigga. Nobody knew, nigga. That nigga's one of the loudest niggas in the streets of LA. He riding Phantoms, Rolls Royces, rag Bentleys, Range Rovers, juried up, jumping out, all at the club popping by. Nigga, popping niggas, all kind of shit. Nobody never knew that the nigga was a fucking informant. Nobody never knew until all this shit. Well, you can go pull the book up.
That's what I'm saying, Wack. Hey, that's what I'm saying, Wack. Hey,
This is the same book that exposed Keefy D being a rat for the first time. This is where we found out that Keefy D was a rat, in this book. Because this is the head detective. When he retired, he exposed everybody that was informant.
Yep.
And who they was informang against.
Sure.
Now, you got to remember, this nigga Stutterbox at the time lived across the street from me. If I walk out of my driveway and walk across the street, I walk in his driveway. Our kids went to school together. So he ain't got a clue that this nigga looking at me trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm like, my nigga, what you trying to figure out what I'm doing? Back then, I had a little 500 Benz, an Escalade. I had a bikes, low riders and shit. I was all right, but I wasn't. Nigga, you got Rolls Royces, motherfucking rag Bentleys. You trying to figure out what I'm doing. Nigga, you up. I'm coming up. Cause you talking about. He told the motherfuckers that I got family that drive trucks. They don't make enough money to be over here where I'm at. Nigga, I own my company. Nigga, I don't drive for nobody. Nigga, I own I'm not hauling fucking toilet paper. I got BMW, Porsche, Audi, all that type of shit. I'm not motherfucking getting paid 30 cents per mile. Nigga, every truck I had a $400,000 contract. I had my own person on a fleet of 4 up under me. I made a third off the other 4 and kept 66% of my own. Like, nigga, then I had real estate and loan companies and shit like that. Nigga, this nigga really thought I was moving work. That nigga really believed that. Like,
beyond my
means. He said, listen, it's all the documents right there. So if I'm a person of interest because a Main Street told him to watch me, then how the fuck am I part of the Main Street's goddamn indictment, nigga? The man said after 9 months of investigation and a raid of his home, it came to find out that all he did was run a string of small businesses. We found a firearm in the home. So then somebody says, well, Wack, how you beat the firearm? It was my wife's firearm. It was a legal firearm. Yeah, but Wack, you an ex-con. I said, yeah, I know I'm an ex-con. You ain't supposed to be around guns. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm also not a California resident, so that ain't my residence. Nigga, I'm not, if you ain't figured out by now, I'm not a dummy. Nigga, I've been a resident of the state of Oklahoma since 2003. Still one right now today.
So, first and foremost, under squatting law, all you got to do is have mail of a bill going to a house, and there's certain rights under California law that you're afforded. Even more than that, he's trying to argue that him not being a resident of California, that this is how he was not charged as an felon in possession of a firearm. Well, let's get into the law real quick, so you know he's lying about that pistol, and it was more than one pistol. I'm quite sure you were protecting your family with more than just your wife's what you call it. But look, they know that you left that night, and we'll get into that and prove that later, right? They know that you left that night. I mean that morning to a shipment with your diesel, because they had the biggest shipment, company call in the biggest shipment so that they know that they could get you away from your house, because Stutterbox told them that it was like Fort Knox up in that motherfucker. Big guns. You know, all the guns you say you sell to the Crips and shit. So we quite sure that it wasn't one. In fact, Big U said you told them it was 6 guns that they found. But let's just stick to the one. So you're saying because that's not your permanent loan. Well, let's get into what makes a person's legal residence, right? a home to which that person intends to return and remain even though currently residing elsewhere. You can live anywhere, but you're going to return and remain here. It is the place where a person has been physically present. He had left that morning, and that the person regards as home. A person has a settled connection with their legal residence for legal purposes, either because that place is home or because the law has designated that place. For example, a person's legal residence can be their permanent home, the place where they were born, or the place where they have established a marital home with their spouse. Remember, he kept saying, they had my wife handcuffed. Well, they wouldn't handcuff her unless they knew that that was her legal residence. And on top of that, if that was your wife, your spouse, and this is where you guys sleep and you guys own the house, you're responsible and part owner of that house. Your name is on that mortgage, even if it's just her name. Because everything that y'all get together, unless you got a prenup, she's entitled to 50%. And you're entitled to 50%. So, where you habitat with your spouse, this is the house that your wife live in, your kids live in. This is your home. So I don't care what's on your ID. You get mail there. So you were able to bluff deputized FBI agents, LAPD law enforcement, sheriffs by convincing them, well, I don't live there, so you can't put that gun on me. I live in Oklahoma. Stop it, bro. The law is very clear. You and your spouse live at that house. The feds, first and foremost, they are human. They do make mistakes, but they're going to make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's before they get you. They're not in a rush. When they come, it's because they already got you. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10. So we're not biting on that one. We're going to close that off. Now let me get into these clips. I'm going to give y'all 2 clips. And after we finish these 2 clips, damn, that's crazy. They done closed my thing, but it's all right. After I give you these 2 clips and we build on that, I'm going to close this and we'll do the rest of the clips live. I'm going to put them in order so that we narrate the story properly for all of our peeps. You know what I'm saying? And let's get over here. And WACK100 goes to the 64th floor and talks with the feds. Y'all want to know what he said? Y'all want to know what they said? And they were recording, which means that he's speaking with them and that he's waived his Miranda rights. So Wack, when Greg Caden accepts the challenge, we want the paper to show that you waived your Miranda rights. We want the audio tape because you're going to talk about how they stopped recording to tell you that Stutterbox gave you up, right? So that means that you were talking with him with your lawyer and you made a statement and they were recording. So let's get to I think I gotta I gotta hit the link first. Hold on. Let me hit the link first. All right, so there you go. They had 2
thing. They like,
all right, so this is a 1 minute clip. Let's get into this. This is Wack talking about the second thing
they had against me. They press play, wiretap. This is why I know when I hear.
So they press play on them, and they're playing the second thing. So let's paint a picture. Yael, I know you never been in this situation because you're gonna keep your mouth closed. But look, check this out. You with me? Yeah. You with me?
Damu Kiwe. Conversation. Oh, I heard you the first time. I thought I hit mute.
So let me tell you how this goes. So he's at the 64th floor or whatever floor he said he went up to, right?
Right.
When he gets in there, you got Darren Dupree, you got Greg Caden, and some federal officer. It could be DEA, FBI, ATF, whichever ones that's working with them and getting the leverage that they needed to get on them so they could flip them and get the information they want, right? So they done raided his house. February, was it April? I think. Let me look at the thing to make sure that my date is correct on the day that they raided CS2 Black House. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, we got it on things. So on April 25th, 2008, the search warrant was served on Cash Jones' home and his truck, right?
Right.
On April 27, 2008, Cash Jones proffered a meeting at FBI headquarters on Wilshire on the 60th floor. He said they were on the 60th floor. But remember, he didn't say it was a session. He didn't say that he talked to them. He said he went to go pick up his property. Well, how did you go pick up property that was taken from your home that you claim you are not a resident in? That you claim you live in Oklahoma. So why are you picking? So I already knew something was fishy about that explanation anyway, you know?
Right.
But now here we are. You're on the 60th floor. You brought your attorney with you to pick up your property. Yeah, right. 2 days after they raided your house, right? So you go down here with your attorney and you get in there, Darren Dupree, Greg Caden, and they have to read you your Miranda rights before they start recording or you talk. You obviously had to waive your Miranda rights when you sat down to talk to these people. Now let's get to this content real quick because I think this is the biggest blow that CS2 Back has suffered. When you hear this, it's so incriminating, bro. Hold on, where the hell am I at? Okay. Suge Knight. Boom. Let's go here. Boom. Okay, here we go. And then we're gonna bring all right, we don't need none of them. Where we at? So we got that. Now all I need is to get on with this to start the play. Bear with me. 3 minutes. Is this it? No, this ain't it. Oh, there it go. All right, here we go. Bam.
They had against me. They press play. Wiretap.
The second thing they had against you, mute up real quick, Yael.
Second thing they had against me. They press play. Wiretap. This is why I know when I hear certain wiretaps was conspiracy, how they get you. They got me on the phone. Said, yeah. All right, what you got? Said, we got a special move. Where's it coming from? Down by National City, down by Tijuana, Mexico. Yeah. All right. It's gonna be kind of heavy, but it'll pay you 23,000 one way. Where's it going? Seattle area, Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, multiple stops, you know, get it to them before they close 9 hours. You straight. All right, no problem. I'll be down there to get it.
You chilling with the answers.
So they turned off the thing. They like well, you know, our Scott.
They turned off the thing, the recording. He said they turned it off. Listen to this.
Confidential informant that said you moving drugs for Suge Knight. I said moving drugs for Suge Knight. Now, me personally, I've never heard Suge involved in the cocaine, the drug dealing, none of that shit. So I'm looking at it like they crazy because I know what recording they got. I said, well, can I make a phone?
He know what recording they got. They just played the recording for you. You think that they had the company call you for this big pickup so they could get you out the house because Stutterbox did told them your house is like Fort Knox because you allegedly always bragging about how you sell guns to the Crips and shit, right? You held Stutterbox down, right? The Eagle Beagle, right? And you had the Bulldog, right? All of this shit, he done told them that. So they have a company call you out with a big load, which was so much money they knew you wouldn't turn it down to get you out of the house. So they know what call that they're talking about. Before they come, they done, mind you, Stutterbox, the same nigga you said tried to line you up when y'all went to Stevie's on the Strip, and there was 2 bras there. One was a Creole from New Orleans. That was the lady from the federal task force in the movie Unsolved. She was an FBI agent. You said you seen her on the 64th floor with a flap jacket on. Well, she was there on the 64th floor with a flap jacket on when you came in there because they're showing you that when she was asking you about 5 keys, nigga, you seen that fat ass pretty girl, nigga, and you bit like a big mouth bass. You got low self-esteem. Nigga, you gotta leave with your wallet to get you some pussy, nigga. Ain't no bitch fucking on you because they, other than if they think you could benefit on them. Nigga, you're buying, nigga, you're buying them ED pills already, nigga. Nigga, me and Maria don't have them problems. This motherfucker stay hard, nigga. You know what I'm saying? After I come, nigga, this thing still hard, nigga. So, nigga, you ain't just dicking bitches down. Can't even get hard, nigga. Nigga, you seen this pretty ass bitch. You was gonna talk to her about whatever it needed to talk about. So you have an action at cutting in and trying to get some of that pussy. And she lines your ass up. That's why Box lines your ass up. So now let's catch up with all of the charges that's on the table at this point, right? You sitting at the table. We done already talked about the extortion and blackmail, conspiracy to extortion and blackmail that Stutterbox implicated you in. Now, you saying that they talking about the gun case, right? And the wiretap, right? They know if they got you on the wiretap. They know they're not coming to get you until they got you on the wiretap, dumbass nigga. You know how many niggas is in the feds for wiretap cases? Yeah, you better take that deal, my nigga, once you get there, unless you're going to give up some information. Let's listen to this one more time, my nigga.
Second thing they had against me, they press play, wiretap. This is why I know when I hear certain wiretaps was conspiracy, how they get you. They got me on the phone. Said, yeah. All right, what you got? Said, we got a special move. Where's it coming from? Down by National City, down by Tijuana, Mexico. Yeah. All right. It's gonna be kind of heavy, but you know, it'll pay you 23,000 one way. Where's it going? Seattle area, Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, multiple stops. You know, get it to them before they close 9 hours. You straight. All right, no problem. I'll be down there to get it.
You chilling with the answers.
So they turned off the thing. They like, well, you know, our confidential informant said you moving drugs for Suge Knight. I said, moving drugs for Suge Knight. Now, me personally, I've never heard Suge involved in the cocaine, the drug dealing, none of that shit. So I'm looking at it like they crazy because I know what recording they got.
How you know what recording they got? Because they played the recording. Then you want us to believe that you asked them, could you get on the phone and you call a company and you think that they didn't cross their T's and dot their I's and see whether who that was you was talking to? Nigga, do you know that it was more than likely a controlled buy? Like, what the fuck is you? Who you think you talking to, bro? These dick sucking niggas on Clubhouse who don't know no better, bro? No, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? Who do you think you're talking to? Nigga, the feds is going to make sure on the wiretap that you're talking about dope and you say enough before they show their hand. Let me see if this one is it. Damn, it's one of these. I'm going to have to close that motherfucker after. I think it's this one.
Got your client on 2.
Listen. He's in on the 64th floor, whatever floor, at the FBI headquarters building 2 days after they raided his house with his attorney sitting down, and this is what they tell him.
Dude says, well, we still got your client on 2 different situations.
We got your client. This is what Greg Caden and Darren Dupree done told Wack lawyer why he's right there. We got your client on 2 different charges.
He like, is that right? We'll put him on the table. We walking out of here, right? So first situation, he said, well, we found firearms in the house. And he's an ex-con.
Firearms, plural. Not one gun like he had Greg Caden come to admit. Firearms, plural. More than one. And the feds is saying, well, we got these guns. Listen.
Victor Felly, he can't be around firearms, right? So I stopped my attorney. I said, well, you ain't found no firearms in my house. He said, yes, we did. These firearms and such and such. I said, well, I ain't never seen them firearms in my life. He said, well, they registered to your wife. I said, well, what they got to do with me? He said,
those firearms in my life, they're registered to his wife. Listen, my nigga, firearms, plural.
well, that's your wife. I said, okay, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, you live in a home. I said, you can't prove I live in that home. Right? What, you got some cars that's registered to a corporation? Matter of fact, I said, can I go in my back pocket? I pull my wallet out. I slide my wallet. What's this? That's where I live. I've been a resident of Oklahoma since 2003. I got 13 houses on my portfolio. Which one you gonna put me in various states?
Whichever one that you, it don't matter how many residences you got. Y'all see, I just broke this shit down. Remember, multiple guns found at his house. He's in a truck. He say he stayed with a pistol, right? The Eagle Beagle and all of this shit, right? Even when he on the road. So he probably got caught with one of those in there also. Not to mention if it was some actual work involved, maybe it wasn't no work involved. You know, the feds will get you with ghost dope. Just acting or believing that you're going to go deal some dope or whatever. Let's go.
Dude says, well, we still got your client on 2 different situations. He like, is that right? We'll put him on the table. We walking out of here, right? So first situation, he said, well, we found firearms in the house. He's an ex-con convicted felon. He can't be around firearms, right? So I stopped my attorney. I said, well, you ain't found no firearms in my house. He said, yes, we did. These firearms and such and such. I said, well, I ain't never seen them firearms in my life. He said, well, they registered to your wife. I said, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, that's your wife. I said, okay, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, you live in a home. I said, you can't prove I live in that home. Right? What, you got some cars that's registered to a corporation? Matter of fact, I said, can I go in my back pocket? I pull my wallet out. I slide my wallet. What's this? That's where I live. I've been a resident of Oklahoma since 2003. I got 13 houses on my portfolio. Which one you gonna put me in various states?
So this is what he want to say. We already showed you what it takes to be in residency in the state of California. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm finna show you about what can happen to his wife. That's why she was in handcuffs. Remember this? These police, Detective Coet and them sheriffs, remember what they did to that Mexican family that I told y'all about over the sacks of weed? It was like 56 baggies of weed. And he taking the care. Oh, that's my weed, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, fuck that. We taking your wife because we want information on this murder. Man, that is mine. Why the fuck is y'all taking my wife? Man, I ain't got nothing to say. Well, now we're putting your kids in child protective services, right? Can an ex-felon have guns in his home? This is how simple as it is, man. This is as simple as it gets, right? Now, let me tell y'all the first Google search I come up. Let's just show you guys what comes up with that. Can an ex-felon, whether an ex-felon can have guns in the home depends on state laws and their thing. Oh, they sending me in here. Let me go to California, which has the strictest laws. Let's go. Can you see that, y'all? Okay, I can see it. No, a convicted felon cannot own or possess a gun in California, even in their home. This includes purchasing, receiving, or having custody of a firearm. Explanation. All right. The ban is for life, even if the conviction has been expunged. Other people who are prohibited from owning guns include people convicted of certain misdemeanors, narcotic drug addicts, people with outstanding warrants for a felony, people subject to a protective or restraining order. Violating these laws is a felony. Penalties for being a felon in possession of a firearm include a year or whatever, right? All right. Can an ex-felon wife, let's put wife. Let's go here. A spouse of a convicted felon can own a gun in California, but the felon cannot. The spouse should keep the gun out of the felon's reach. California Penal Code prohibits felons from possessing firearms, gun control under PC 298. It is illegal for you to have knowledge of, access to, and the right to control the firearm if you have a felony conviction, depending on the license of the firearm, as well as your ability to access it. Your wife may be able to keep the gun, but you can't. Now, check this out, because can an ex-felon wife get constructive access liability for guns in the home, guns in their home in California? Yes, an ex-felon spouse could be charged with constructive possession of a gun in California if she has access to it and knows it's in the home. So a felon could be charged with constructive possession even if the gun is kept locked in a safe. Listen, California Penal Code 298-00 prohibits felons from possessing firearms, including through constructive possession. Constructive possession means a felon had the ability to control the gun and knew it was in the home. A felon could be charged with constructive possession even if the gun is kept locked in a safe. A prosecutor could also charge the spouse with aiding and abetting a felon to obtain a firearm. So now, pretty Kimberly Jones, oh, pretty Kim, this nigga got you exposed, you know what I'm saying, because of some guns and guns, plural, in the house. You know what I'm saying? And this puts him in a very bad bind, you know what I'm saying? Because now they got Kim handcuffed outside the house. They got him up out the house and then stopped the diesel, searching that. And they come and then he meet with them. I don't know what happened at that point, but if you listen to Detective Coet, Cash Jones was arrested, so I don't know if he bailed out. I don't know what happened. But one thing he said, the only person arrested was Cash Jones. But the 2 days after the search warrant was served, the raid of his house and his truck, he went to meet with these people on the 60th floor. And we do know that his wife was at the house handcuffed because they found these guns, plural. So, Greg Caden, make sure you bring the search warrant. Make sure you bring a receipt of everything confiscated from that house so we can know exactly how many guns were kept there. And then we want an understanding of why the district attorney or the assistant United States attorney, the feds, or the state, County of Los Angeles, decided that it was no problem that Cash Jones had constructive possession of a firearm, an ex-felon. It seems that this joint task force and these deputized FBI and reluctantly the FBI has no problem. Even the judge in Texas, right? The judge in Texas and the prosecutor in Texas said that they believe that Cash Jones' possession of 3 guns, 800 rounds of ammunition was no threat to society. In fact, it would be in the interest of justice to dismiss that case. Nasty motherfucking work. I'm finna go ahead and download this. Damu Keyway Conversations. We gonna run the content, finish telling the story. But until then, we let them where they know where they at, Yael.
Hey, man, listen, y'all in tune in with Duse M, the Don, and the Keyway Pop Star. Listen, one of the dopest lives on YouTube. The voice of the culture, Duse M, Yael, in the West Coast, giving you the most, man. Listen, the co-host will be, hey, listen, I'm with him. Y'all know what it is, man. We in this thing. We in Damu Keyway Conversations.
What time you gonna be